activities for kids that they will enjoy. Some music, some my music. You wouldn't enjoy it, I don't enjoy it, but they enjoy it. And they get a chance to dance, but no drugs, no tobacco, no cigarettes are allowed there, no drinking. And it's a way to bring kids together in a more healthy environment than they might otherwise have. They need a place to congregate, to be together, and that has worked out pretty well. Okay, we have after-school programs for the kids, which is also a nice program. We are now talking about a program. Let me just tell you what we're thinking about now, and I want your feedback because it affects not necessarily you who live here at 3 Cathedral, but it affects many elderly people who own homes. You tell me what you think, because I know you have friends who are homeowners. One of the problems is that many people who are living in homes, especially senior citizens, the value of their homes are increasing every year because we are in what we call a hot real estate market, okay? The value of people's homes are increasing 5, 10, 15% a year. Okay, so let's just say you're an elderly person who has paid off their home, okay? You paid off the mortgage, but your problem is now raising cash to pay your taxes. Okay, you with me? Yeah. Now, what about a system where somebody could go into the bank, and this is what we're working on now, and we would make the arrangements, go into a bank, get a reasonably, as low an interest loan as we can work out, okay? Basically get a mortgage, if you like. Except, unlike a regular mortgage, this mortgage would not have to be paid off every month. I pay off my mortgage every month, okay? This one would not. The money that you get would go to pay off all of your property taxes. You wouldn't have to pay a penny. And the money is repaid when the house is sold, and only when the house is sold. You following what I'm saying?
Which
okay.
Banks will tie up their money to that degree.
Well, we are trying to pressure some banks to do it. Okay, so finally, if somebody decides 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line that they want to give up the house, they want to leave the house for whatever reason, okay, at that point, the bank is repaid the amount of money that they lent for people to pay their property taxes. So the beauty is, at that point, if somebody sold, then they have the money that they got from the house. They're okay. The problem is right now on how to get the money to pay property taxes. That's an issue that we're working on. Does that make sense to you? Is that a reasonable idea? Yeah.
Are you accumulating interest over that period of time? Or is that like a rental payment? Pay off the interest on it?
You would have to pay off the interest when you sold. Yeah.
No, I mean on a monthly basis.
I'm
In
sorry?
other words, if you're not paying off the interest on a monthly basis, you
Right.
can have compound interest by the time you do sell the property.
That's right. That's right.
Which will take a mighty big bite out.
It would take a bite out. But the point is here, we're not asking, it does not make sense for people to take out large loans. In other words, the amount of money that would be asked, that we would support, because just for that problem, would be to cover people's property taxes, which would be $1,000 or $1,500 a year. I know, it does, you're right, and that's the negative part of it. And obviously when the house is sold, the value that you're going to get will be that much less.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah.
I'm Tom Smith. I live on Park Street, and I'm running for alderman in this ward, and I've been doing a lot of door knocking, talking to a number of folks. And I ran into one couple who lives on Rose Street. And they're in the situation Bernie's talking about. Let's say they're in their late 60s or early 70s. The wife is blind, and the gentleman has heart problems. Their combined income is less than $8,000 a year. And I think they're getting Social Security, and probably a lot of you just got a $1 raise, right?
So what, you got a $1 raise?
It'll make you feel good, too. Well, good for you. Well, his concern is that he's going to get priced out of his house. Now here his wife is blind. This is all that he owns. And he's too proud to apply for food stamps. He's too proud to apply to the property tax rebate program. And yet he worries every time the word taxes is mentioned that where am I going to go? You know, when the next tax increase comes, where do I go? Because he's starting to get priced out of his own house. And this kind of program, well, I think it's got some, you know, some negative sides to it. What it offers him is the security that you can stay in your house for as long as you want to stay in your house. You're never going to get priced out. And the person who buys your house is going to have to pay your back taxes. That's the bad side. But the good side is this guy has enough to worry about. He shouldn't have to worry about losing his home. And there are a lot of people in the Old North End who are in this situation. You know, the waterfront and being close to downtown, there are a lot of people moving in and fixing up properties, which is good, but it's raising the values everywhere and making it hard for people on fixed incomes. So this is an effort to try to take people's fears, particularly elderly people and people on fixed incomes, on disability.
Right, thank you, Tom. This is Tom Smith. Tom is running for the Board of Aldermen from Ward 3, and somebody I have known and liked for a number of years. Let me switch gears a little bit. Have they installed the cable television system in here yet?
No.
What's going on with that?
No. We don't find out nothing.
Not enough people signed up.
No, they should. Is anybody here from staff?
No.
She's out for the time being.
They have not begun work here at all?
No. I understand they did. I don't know.
Did anyone see any of the people from Cable, Green Mountain, Cable Vision?
No.
All right, the deal, there are two deals. The deal that we worked out with Cable would be very, very good for here. Excellent. Now, they raised the rates. People will be paying $12.50 for basic. In the Burlington Housing Authority Senior Citizen Centers, they'll be paying, I think, $4.50. Okay, and that's what you should have, that's what you'll pay too if they, what?
Well, we were told at our last meeting that we had to have more people sign up than were signing up in order for us to get that.
Who told you that?
The office.
Said they had to
Sarah
have
did?
half of the building.
Yeah.
Let me find out what's going on. That's not the case. They are obliged to rewire every building in the city of Burlington. They have to rewire here. All right, I will find out why they have not done that. Yeah.
Half of the building, they said, would have to sign up.
No, it's nothing to do with it. Nope. They have got to rewire all, and they have promised the both buildings. If 4 people, all we need is 4 people. The more people who sign up, the lower the rates will be. But even if only 4 people sign up, and obviously a lot more than that are going to sign up.
About 16 of us, isn't it?
30.
There were 30, yeah. They said unless they got 45, they'd have cable here.
No, God, no. All right, I'll speak to Sarah about that.
That meeting that afternoon, they said we had to have at least 6.
No, that's not the case at all. That really is not, and I will find out what's going on about that. They are required by the contract we signed with them to rewire every single building in the city of Burlington, okay? And the second step is if there are more, see the beauty of the program is it's called bulk billing. And all that it means, they save money. If they have to bill each of you separately, right? There's a lot of paperwork that goes on. $12.50, $12.50, $12.50. And what the beauty of the program is if 3 Cathedral Square will send them 1 check, right? They basically would add the amount to your rent, if you wanted to do it. It's voluntary, of course. So you would be adding $4.50 to your rent, and 3 Cathedral would send them just 1 check, which would make their bookkeeping a lot easier. They could save money.
I agree with that.
Yes.
And it was my understanding at our meeting that if they had, not 100%, but they had to have a good number sign up in order to get a low rent. Otherwise, we would have to pay the $10.50.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's say like 30 people signed up.
Nope. Absolutely. Is that what they told you?
Yeah.
No, that is absolutely not the case. It's absolutely not the case. And, you know, all right, we will talk to them again. That is not the case. There is a bulk billing, and I should have brought some literature on it.
And she did tell us that we would pay the office.
4 or more. And it's not necessary for everybody to sign up. They've got to rewire the building, and then you can take advantage of that. Let me tell you another issue. While we're dealing with utilities is the telephone situation, which I know has been a real source of aggravation for many people.
Yes, yeah.
What's going on there? Basically, for a lot of reasons, which are too complicated to get into, the truth of the matter is the telephone rate should probably be going down very significantly. Okay? They have really, as all of you know, telephone rates have zoomed up within the last few years. But a couple of good things are happening. Number one, the present person who's chairperson of the Public Service Board will be leaving, and that's good, because she has not done a good job for ratepayers. Number two, as a result of the tax reform that you were talking about, corporations pay less, therefore they should charge less in their rates, and there are other reasons why, but telephone rates should be going down. And we will do our best in Montpelier. The Public Service Department is doing some good work. We'll work with them, and I think that rates should go down, basically, and that's the good news. It should be stable for a few years. In any case, you should not be seeing the kinds of large increases that you saw. Yeah?
The income tax form that came, on the back it says,
Right.
if you register, you get $6.
Absolutely. Right, take advantage of it if you can. It's called the Lifeline Proposal. You have to be, as you indicate, the form is there in the income tax form, and you should take advantage of it and anything else that's there. $6 a month for basic services is not insignificant, so if you're eligible for it, take advantage of it. In addition to that, rates should come down a little bit and then be stable. So that, that's something that's very positive. Let me tell you something else that we're trying to do. We're going to be adding some new police officers to the force, which I think is something that is needed.
Thank goodness.
You know, there's nothing I could say. You all read the newspapers, and, you know, I can't tell you why. I don't know why there's been an increase in violent crime all over the state. I mean, you've seen that. It's by no means just Burlington. It's taking place all over the state of Vermont, and it's a terrible thing. And I don't know that police officers are going to necessarily solve the problem, but at least they'll give us a better ability to cope with the problem. All right, so we're going to do our best, and we're going to be asking property taxpayers to support an increase to bring 7 new police officers on this year, and over the next 4 years beyond that, another 13, making a total of 20 new officers for a 5-year period. That's important. Now, the other issue that I want to touch upon with you is the waterfront. Now, the waterfront is, as you all know, probably better than anyone else in Burlington, because you probably have the best view, is beautiful. And I know you get the sunsets. I'm sure some of you are up here in the evenings and see the beautiful sunsets. It is an extraordinary resource for the city, and it's a resource that we have not utilized as well as we should over the years. It's an area that should attract large numbers of people to enjoy, and we haven't done as good a job over the years. We're making some progress on it, okay? Have any of you been down to Perkins Pier over the last year? Have any of you get down there by any chance? Okay, did you see that the park space there has been about doubled? We've doubled the amount of park space there. Some of you may have read in the paper that we recently acquired the Mobile Oil Beach. Does any of you know where that is down on the south end? It's a beautiful beach which was owned by Mobile Oil. They have donated that beach to the city now, and we own that. There'll be a swimming area and a park for people. And we have built a bicycle path which runs along the whole waterfront almost. Needs some more work, which is something that people are really enjoying. What we would like to do is continue developing types of parks down on the waterfront for kids and for everybody, because it's just something that should be open to everybody and enjoyed by everybody. So we're working now on a bond issue which would build a community boathouse where people can come and rent canoes or rowboats and enjoy that, expand the bicycle path, and improve some of the other parts of the city and do another boat access area where people have a boat and they want to get right out into the lake, they can do that. That would be down around Moran Plant. So that's something that I would hope that you'll support when it's on the ballot in March.
Won't spoil the view or anything.
Oh, no. We've also, now all of this stuff is very, very low. It's right next, there's nothing that's high. In fact, we just passed zoning, which will make sure that forever on the waterfront there will be no tall buildings which will have a block the view. That's very important. Now, we know that view is worth $1 million.
What about Blue Cross and Blue Shield? Is that going up?
Well, what I heard in the paper is that they wanted, what, a 58% increase if you're not, is that most of you who are not group?
Yeah, we're not group.
You're not group, Steve.
I think we could be in this building. I don't know.
Form your
why.
own group, in a sense.
Huh?
You mean form a group yourself?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Sounds like a good idea.
That's a very good idea.
Huh? We suggested it a few years ago, but nothing was done with it.
Yes.
Is that, does that affect the elderly, that increase, or is it for women and children that are in that group that is so expensive?
Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Yeah.
What I read in the paper, and I'm not going to tell you more than I know, is that it affects people who I guess are individual members of Blue Cross Blue Shield. My impression was that it was all, but I don't, does anyone know more about it than I do?
No.
I don't want to, yeah.
Blue Cross Blue Shield, when you're in a group, you get 90% of your, what do you call it, medical
Medicare.
prescriptions back. You fill in a form, and you get the 90% of
Well,
your
it
prescriptions back
depends
at the end
upon,
of the year.
it depends upon, you know, the particular program that your employer might have.
Because I was at Brock Point, I was supervisor there, and I used to fill in my form, I get all my prescriptions.
Yeah. Well, 58% increase, well, how much are people paying now for Blue Cross and Blue Shield a month? $93 a month?
Every 3 months.
Every 3 months.
Every 3.
So a 50% increase would raise another $45.
Too much.
All right.
Well, because but you have to have it.
Now, that's what you use to fill the gap of Medicare, is that right?
Right.
Okay, now does that play prescription drugs or no?
No.
So then you have, all right, so you have Medicare over here. Everybody has Medicare, I gather? Okay.
Yeah, I got that.
So you have Medicare, then you got the 20% gap, which is filled by the Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then you're gonna have to pay your own prescription drugs. Is that the problem?
Right.
There's under Medicare,
And how does that work? Is that working pretty well?
yes, I belong to it, and I've had two very expensive operations that I never really have come
It's called CHAP. Are people familiar with that program?
Connecticut has a program where now they are paying a percentage of the prescription drugs.
New York State does too. New York State just passed a program where precisely New York State is picking up, I don't know what percentage, but they are picking.
I think half.
Chap pays
I think
10,
Connecticut's paying
putting in
that.
30%.
Now that's exactly an issue. That's exactly an issue you might want to talk to Montpelier about.
On a certain income.
I agree. That's a very important. I gather most of you have prescription drugs. Is that right?
Yeah, and they go up every time you buy them.
They're outrageously expensive. All
A
right.
couple of dollars.
Yes.
All right. Let me ask you a question. I mean, a very honest question. If I arranged for a meeting in Montpelier before a legislative committee, and we had a bus or something, we had transportation to get you there and get you back, would some of you go with me?
Oh, definitely.
All right, would you go? All those who go, raise your hand and tell me you're going to go. All right, all right. It's important. Your point is an excellent one. I don't know about Connecticut, but I do know about New York State, and certainly I think there are other states. It is fair to raise those issues. Why we can't do it in Vermont? Okay, that's a very good point. So the issue of health care from beginning to end is a very, very important point that we've got to make some movement on. All right, so again, now the electric rates, you don't pay, do you pay electricity or is that part of your rent? Okay, well, the good news in any case is electric rates are not going to go up in the city for a couple of years. We stabilize that. Your phone rates probably will go down. So I think health care is a very, very important issue that we want to address. Okay, very important issue. Okay, what other questions? I can go on for hours, but I'll stop. Yeah.
Would it be possible to go back to the old foot patrol?
Yes.
Not the cruiser patrol, but rather the foot police. When that was in existence, the crime was automatically, I mean, there was trepidation to even get in the area where there was a patrolman on foot.
The answer to your question is yes. And we have started that and we intend to expand that if we can add the police officers.
I believe that if that had taken place in the Battery Park section, that wouldn't be closed off to us.
How do people feel about the Battery Park thing? Is it a question of...
Well, fortunately, I have the view now in my apartment, but I was very upset when I could no longer go down there and park and
Okay.
take in that.
Do you know why we did that?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll take responsibility for that, and it was not an easy decision. The problem was, as some of you will remember 5 years ago, you wouldn't want to go to Battery Park. Is that true? Okay. And there was a lot of drug dealing, there were a lot of bad news characters down there. And what we had to do, the only way that we could think at that time, and we're willing to change it, is if you allowed cars to come in, they were coming in, their radios were blaring, you'll remember that, right? Dogs were running around, and it was not a good place to be. The park today is a much nicer shape than it used to be. I think you'll grant that.
Oh, yeah.
The question, as you say, which is an absolutely fair question, that many elderly or handicapped people, they would like to be able to drive near that area. And in fact, if my memory is correct, which I think it is, we're going to be spending a good chunk of money to fix up Battery Park, make it more handicapped accessible, and I believe, I'm going to double check this because I don't want to tell you if it's not true. I think provide a few parking spaces for the elderly. Now, how would that be? Would that solve your problem?
That'd be
I
good.
could speak on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had the city is developing a plan on how to make the park a better park, and I think they're committing close to $60,000. And we had a neighborhood planning assembly meeting over at Sarah Holbrook because many of the homeowners and tenants who surround the park have been concerned about the concerts, the loudness, the length, that sort of thing. And so we got together with the city on it, and they showed us the plan, and there were the neighbors made some good suggestions, and I think that the city's going to come back with some amendments to that plan. But what Bernie's talking about is more walkways coming from different angles so that they are they're level. Somebody in a wheelchair could feel comfortable going in and out. There'll be some parking spaces indented near Acme So we'll provide more parking so that people can get out of their cars and go to one of these walkways very easily. The roadway that goes by the retaining wall is going to be torn up and grass put in, so there'll be more grassy area, but at the same time there will be more paths coming in from different angles. So I think within 2 years we're going to see a much nicer
The
battery.
hard part is the traffic.
Yeah.
You are having the problems here in Vermont that we had in Connecticut 20 years ago. And the thing is, you've been isolated, I think, to a certain extent, and you haven't quite known what hit you in the crime situation. I mean, I lived along the shoreline, and I went through all this 20 years ago. And we still haven't solved it in Connecticut.
Right.
But you have high employment here in Burlington.
Well, that's,
I'm surprised at your crime rate.
well, again, it's, compared to the rest of the country, to the best of my knowledge, the crime rate is not high. But as you point out, it is higher. Some of you will remember 20 or 30 years ago, things have changed a lot in those periods of time. So it's high compared to the way it used to be. It is not high, really, compared to what's going on around the rest of the country. But I think no one can deny the number of violent crimes and murders in the last few years throughout the state. Jesus, it's quite incredible.
Terrible.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that anybody knows. When people go around killing other people, it's you're dealing with irrational acts. Drugs will have something to do with it. Drugs will have something to do with it. Yeah.
But you have no ethnic groups here really either.
No, well,
You know, I mean, ethnic groups is our crime.
well, people commit crimes, I think, sometimes regardless of what color they are. And,
That's true, but,
okay, other questions that people might have?
Are we gonna have a new supermarket?
Good question. All right. Good question. All right. And the answer is, let me tell you exactly the status that we're at.
Would you repeat the question?
The question is, are we going to have a new supermarket, which I know is an issue of great concern to you, the people in Penn, North Champlain, and so forth. The answer is that all right, a couple of points. Number one, the Board of Aldermen, I believe unanimously, are on record in supporting the area. This is the best that we can do. I know there are problems with this one too. You know the parking lot near the police station? Okay, that's owned by the city. And the city now is attempting to convert that area into a supermarket. It is very difficult. What we have just done last week, as a matter of fact, is we have rushed down to Washington an application for a federal UDAG grant to help subsidize that thing. We should hear, I would say, in a month or two if we're going to get it. So to answer your question, we are trying very, very hard to build a decent supermarket, something far nicer than what you presently have in downtown Burlington. Now I know for some of you, you would prefer the location to be closer where the old AMP used to be and so forth, all right? And ain't gonna work, because the guy who owns that sees that he can make more money using that spot for something else. So the best spot that we can come up with is where the parking lot is near the police station. I'm not sure yet. They're looking at the Grand Union, but I'm not sure yet. What we have got to do is, once we have our act together, then the developer will invite different major ones, whether it's Martin's, the Grand Union, the PNC, I don't know.
We need one that we can call up orders and have them delivered. This one you have to go in and you can have it delivered, but you have to be able to get there to pick it up to get it. We need one like Claudia's used to be, where you can call in your order and have them bring it to you.
So now what's the story? You have to go down there,
Yeah.
and then give them an order, and there's nobody who will deliver over the telephone.
No, they don't even have a phone number listed in the Grand Union. You can't call them. They don't, you can't call in and order.
Very bad there. The crossing would be very bad there.
Well, if that happened, I think we would provide either a new light system or something to make sure that people could get close. We're not gonna have you dodging traffic. The problem is that economically, primarily because of the parking reason, it is not easy to attract supermarkets into downtowns. In other words, what's very important to them is free parking, right? They have to have parking. And they do better in outskirts, in the suburbs, and it's hard. So we're gonna have to basically subsidize. To do that, by the way, it's gonna cost the city of Burlington money. We're gonna be subsidizing that. It's not gonna be a Grand Union simply coming in and saying, gee, we wanna do it. We have to encourage them, and we're gonna have to help subsidize some of their parking concerns. Yes?
I was just gonna say, if you live long enough, after you give away all that parking space down there, we'd appreciate the supermarket.
No, what you're gonna do is not give away the parking space, we're gonna compensate. The parking, there'll be new parking to make up for what we've lost, but it's not gonna be level parking, it'll probably be parking garage. Okay, how things going here? Things going reasonably well?
Beautiful.
If we get cable.
All right, when I get back to the office, I will make a call.
Chris, I'd like to ask a question going back to the prescriptions. Are y'all in any sort of buying club so that, you know, like just like you were talking about being a group insurance, if you could, as a group, be a prescription buying club where you could choose one like Mel's Drug or Young's or something and say, what kind of a discount would you give us for buying here? Because you all are an incredible amount of income for one place. And I would think that you could get...
Judging by our expenditures.
That's right. Now,
I think you could get a discount if you were to do that.
We get a 10%.
Now, what Tom is saying, which is a very good idea, is this. If, and we do that, the city does that all the time. You know, we have a lot of business in a sense. So we say to somebody, what's the best offer you're going to give us? What you have here, if you added together all of the prescription drugs that you spend a month, you're talking about a lot of money. And what I think you're saying, Tom, is that you go out to the various drugstores and they're saying, we have X thousands of dollars a month. What kind of discount would you give people if we use your company, your store? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Is that something, an idea that people are...
You have to watch, though. Some druggists don't have fresh drugs.
That's the problem, right? You have to make sure that you're dealing with a good drug.
Right.
And
So you
others
might want to
short
limit
count.
your... What?
Others short count.
Yeah, okay, I mean, that's, you would have to make sure that you're dealing with reputable people. And then you're just talking about price competitive. What you're doing is making the situation more competitive.
I think the other thing, if you're going in as a club, that the pharmacies would go out of their way to make sure that the count was correct and the quality was high, because if they lost this account, I mean, you all could probably support one entire pharmacy. You know, I think that you might get better service, and the delivery costs would be less because they could probably just do one instead of 3 or 4 different pharmacies making runs here.
I thought there was a Massachusetts firm that was bidding for that, wasn't there?
I don't know.
I saw something in the paper, I don't know.
That was for the
State
state.
employees.
That was for the state employees.
All right, what's the same concept?
Yep. Okay, I'm gonna have to run pretty soon. Are there other questions, anything else that I could, Mel, you got anything in your mind? Super, all right, we're moving, we're working. Okay, that's an important issue, very important issue. Anything else that people can think of? Okay, I think we have been making some progress in the last few years. I mean, the truth is, the city has problems, every city in America has problems, whether it's crime or anything else.
I think you've made a lot of help. You've done a lot of good. I really
yes,
second that.
you have.
Thank you very much.